Hello and welcome back to my studio. This is day two of my daily art vlog. Before we get started today, I just want to talk a little bit about yesterday. That was my very first art vlog. Also my first time trying to edit a video without Cameron. And it was a bit of a cluster, you know what. So let me just get that out of the way. A few things that happened. First of all, at the start, I was supposed to be doing a multi-cam shot where I'd be looking from one camera to the other, but I forgot to turn the second camera on for the second part of that. So for the whole video, I spent half the time looking at the camera and half the time looking at the other camera. So I do know that I'm supposed to look at the camera. I also, when we went to do the time lapse, I forgot to turn the selector switch on the camera from video to photo, so all of the time lapse came out black. And when it came time to editing the photo, the sound apparently was horrible with a really bad hiss. So I'm going to address all of those things today. We actually have very good equipment. You know, they say it's a poor carpenter or artist who blames his tools. We've got really good tools. I just not sure how to use them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to abide by the KISS rule, at least for the next couple videos until I can figure all this stuff out. So I'm shooting this now on my iPhone with a Rode lavalier mic, and I know we've got really good sound quality from that before. We actually have a really good Rode mic that I normally have hooked up to a boom that's recording on a Handycam recorder. But yesterday I thought I would try hooking it up directly to my Nikon D800E. And instead of an XLR collection, it's got the little connection, it's got the little pin connection. And so apparently that was the cause for the hiss. So yeah, for today and for the next few videos anyways, I'm going to be shooting just with my iPhone, and I'll be using the Nikon to do the time lapses. So that's yesterday. Today I am going to get working on this painting and we'll do a time lapse. But actually before I do that, I'm going to go in and start a new project on Premiere, and I'm just going to check to make sure that this video and audio quality is good before I get into doing the whole video. So I'll be back in a sec, and this time we will start the time lapse. Okay, the sound appears to be good, but I realized I wasn't looking directly into the camera. I was looking in the actual LED screen where my face was, looking at myself rather than looking at the pinhole where the lens is. So hopefully I can get that sorted out and make myself focus on that pinhole so I'm staring directly at the camera. But other than that, everything looks good. So yeah, I'm going to grab a bite to eat, and then I'm going to start on this painting. Okay, I figured this is probably a good time for me to stop the time lapse and actually talk about this for a sec. This is the stage where a lot of people get really confused about my work, because this is the stage now where I've kind of blocked in all of the foliage, and as we see up here, I'm going to start putting the sky in. And the show I had at the Chinese Cultural Center, two girls got in an argument about whether I painted the sky first or last. And the one girl actually didn't believe that I came in and painted the sky afterwards. But then when I explained it to her, she told me I was wrong, that I was doing it wrong, that I should paint the sky first, which is kind of a traditional way of doing it. But it just blew me away that this is not an artist, but she just said, no, I'm wrong. I shouldn't do it that way. So I'm going to explain to you kind of why I do it, and then I'm going to slow it down and do this in real time as I do it. Especially when you're trying to create that feeling of the glow of the sun coming through the trees. One thing that happens with me painting on the red canvas and then painting in this order is that when I paint the foliage and then I paint the negative shapes or the negative spaces between the bits of foliage and the actual tree trunks, there's often a gap between the foliage and that negative stroke of sky color. And in that little gap, that's where the red of the canvas lives and shows through. And the neat thing about that is that creates like a red aura around all of the branches and around all of the foliage, which is the same sort of light effect that happens if you see something that's backlit and the sun's coming through it. So it serves that purpose. I tried to explain to this girl that yes, I could duplicate this by painting the sky first, but then I'd have to go around and put a thin red rim light around every single branch and every single sky shape. The other reason I do this too is just for painting quickly. I started doing this when I was painting outdoors and plein air. Because I paint wet and wet, if I paint the sky first, then when I go to paint my branch strokes or my foliage strokes into it, then that's just going to mush in with the white paint or the light paint of the sky underneath. And it's virtually impossible to get it dark or to get a pure color. So for me, the only way that I can paint on location like that, these types of scenes, is to paint the foliage and the trees in first, and then paint the sky shapes around them. That way I'm not getting my light color of the sky mixed in and mushed in all together with the strokes of the foliage. Now this is something, I didn't invent this. One of the most famous group of painters in Canada is the Group of Seven, and Tom Thompson in particular. And I was a huge fan of his growing up. And when I looked at his little sketches, it was obvious to me that that's how he painted. And it's probable that it was for the same reason, that that's the only way you can paint one of these complex forest scenes with sky holes showing through it all in one go. So that's why I do that. And the other thing that I do when I go to paint the sky is I want there to be a gradation of kind of generally cooler and slightly darker sky, and then moving towards lighter and warmer colors as we come to the sun, because that's what happens in the area around the sun. As you move further away, the sky gets lighter and cooler. So I'm going to just move the camera here, and I am going to paint a little bit of the sky in real time, and I'll try to stay out of the way. And you can see what I'm talking about now. When I'm painting the sky, this is kind of one of my favorite times if I've had a really stressful previous day, because everything up till now is kind of what I call the heavy lifting. This is where I've blocked in all the main shapes. I'm making decisions with the foliage about where the foliage is going to be, where the branches are going to be, all things that are really going to impact the composition. And when I get to this stage, it's a little more therapeutic because I don't have to make, the only decision I have to make is how quickly or slowly I'm gradating that color and value of the sky. Or on a really big piece, if I'm doing those pathways of color, just which color I'm going to use. But here, I mean, all the decisions of where the sky is going to be have been made. The only thing I really have to try to do is be very careful with my brush strokes that I don't get the wet paint of the sky into the wet paint of the foliage, because then we're going to get a muddy color where that orange is going to mix with the blue and give us a warm gray. So whenever I do touch my brush to a wet color, it's just really important that I then clean the brush and take that, because when you touch a wet brush to the wet canvas, you're not only going to leave paint there, you're going to pick paint up, whatever paint is on there, and those two are going to mix together. So anyways, I thought this was a good time to stop and explain this, but I'm going to go back to the time lapse now because that's incredibly hard on my neck being at this angle. So I hope you could see this okay. I'm kind of backlit by the window, but I'm going to go back to the time lapse and I will block in the rest of the sky and then start moving down to the middle ground and then the reflections here on the pond. Well, this seems like a good time to quit. I'll start on the water tomorrow. Actually, hopefully finish the water tomorrow. I only actually got a couple hours to paint today, but I kind of knew that doing this vlog was going to cut into my painting time. But what I did get done today, I'm really happy with. And I think the video shooting altogether went much better. And I've already put some of the other stuff into Premiere, so I know the mistakes that I made yesterday are not going to happen again. But I've just recently been told that the grass needs to be cut, and it's not going to do it itself, and Diane's not going to do it, and the boys are in Cuba. So time to call it a day. I'm going to go cut the grass, and then tonight I will edit this. So again, my call to action: if you enjoyed this video, please like it, please comment on it, and share with your friends. And if you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I'm Tim Packard, and as always, thank you for your time.